Okay, and we are live and admitting people. It looks like everyone's in from the waiting room.
Okay, it's only 5:31 right now, so let's just give it another couple minutes. I don't see Albert and Heidi yet. Okay, it's 5:34. Let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to start off by thanking everyone for joining us tonight for the Pillar Point Harbor Retail Public Restroom workshop, where we're going to be discussing where we're at thus far with the project and showing you some alternatives that our consultant has come up with. We're very fortunate to, through the RFP process, request for proposal process, to have brought on Sally Swanson Architects and their team to help us with this project. At this time, we're going to turn over to the Sally Swanson team, and they're going to introduce themselves and then go right into a presentation. And we'd like to have public input and questions at the end of that presentation. Again, we thank everybody for attending this evening. Sally, you want to introduce your team and talk a little bit about Sally Swanson Architects?
Yes, just want to say that there was an RFP and we applied. We'd actually worked for the Harbor District before doing a self-evaluation plan and a transition plan. And so we were very familiar with the area. We work a lot for the community college, San Mateo Community College, and so we just love the area. And we're very excited about working on this project. I think it's an incredible area. We're just hoping Mavericks comes back soon enough. But we'd like to show you a PowerPoint today. We've studied the area carefully. We want to share of 3 schemes we've come up with. We want to share what it takes to build a building, to renovate a building, to do something wonderful. And Shao and Kathleen will be talking about project management, as well as the steps of putting together a renovation. So it's not just the 3 schemes we're going to be talking about. We're going to explain the process. If anything is confusing and doesn't make any sense, well, I appreciate you asking. I guess we'll be doing that at the end of the project, at the end of our presentation. So Alice is the key here. She's going to be doing the presentation, and we'd like to share our thoughts with you. Let's hope it works.
Shall we start a presentation or?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my screen.
Oh, very good. So here's the San Mateo County Hardwood District. It's a wonderful place to be. And in all honesty, with COVID, I bet it's utilized quite a bit. A lot of people are getting out and walking around and exercising. So the Pillow Point Retail Center is quite a great place to be. Just want to say the focus of our work will be looking at an ADA restroom project, providing an accessible restroom. Here I am, Sally Swanson. I've had my firm for 40 years, and I focus on architecture with an emphasis on accessibility. We have our project manager, Xiao Chen. We've been together many years as well, and he's a CAS certified as well as ICC. He knows the code. He really knows the codes inside and out, as well as an excellent supervisor and project manager. And we have our architect, Kathleen Wong. She will be helping with all the architectural drawings and the code review. And all three of us have been together many, many years, a good 15 or 16. We're excited about working on this project with you. Next, please. What I'd like to do, I've given my introductions. I'd like to talk about the design schemes. As I mentioned, there are three of them. I'd like to compare them and what I think are the best schemes. We'll talk about project management. We'll talk about scheduling. We'll talk about the design phases. We're thanking you for being here in community involvement. It's quite critical that you participate and make this a perfect place to be. And of course, there'll be a lot of questions and answers, I hope. Next slide, please. Just want to share, I have an office in San Francisco and one in LA, but right now we're at home. I guess we should showing everybody's home. So we're all going to get through the COVID and be back in our space again. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the first slide. This is putting accessible restrooms in Kachan, in the restaurant. And as you can see, quite the restaurant would have to be demolished. In other words, to get accessible restrooms, you'd be taking out quite a bit of space. One of the things that I've fought for that I feel very strong about is having the bar and having seating adjacent. I think, I love going to a bar, but I want to be able to sit or talk, and I don't want the restroom sort of looking in my face. So what do we come up with? Let's see the floor plan. Next slide, there we go. Is that you can see on the right, we have two restrooms in the back. Unfortunately, with the existing seating, presently there are 55, but with the new seating, it's been reduced to 48. So there's a reduction in seating, having the restrooms located inside the restaurant. Next slide, please. The second slide is the ice cream shop. And I gather that's a place to really grow and expand. And here are two accessible restrooms. We had to do a new cooler and a new work area. But as you can see, it's reduced a great deal of the space. So let's look at Catch Joanne, going back. Once we have the bar, we put the restrooms in scheme 2, you have a lot of seating. I just think that'd be a wonderful place to be. And our seating count has gone up to 63. So I feel that it becomes a much more usable restaurant with restrooms that are easy to get to. Could I have the next design scheme, please? Well, this is the restrooms outside of the facility. The one reason I like that is that the ice cream shop has a lot of growth. What could happen there? You could have artifacts. You could have coffee. It's just a great, great space and a great, great location. And in my opinion, it hasn't happened yet, but you certainly want that space to benefit the person who's leasing it. And the restrooms outside work quite well. Now, one of the things that these are restrooms only used by Catch Joanne or eventually by the ice cream parlor. We're not sure what they would like to do with their space. And now look at the positives and the negatives. Let's go to the next scheme. That's the next slide, excuse me. Okay, what do we have here? Scheme 1, you've lost valuable seating. It's a bit congested, but it's the least expensive. And that's $250,000 or use of dollars, $840. Scheme 2, which I was very surprised at, was quite expensive. Now this is in the ice cream shop. Our cost estimator felt that there was a lot of renovation there that would be costly. Now, of course, in Catch Joanne, you get better circulation, you get flexibility once again in the ice cream shop, and you gain valuable seating and space in the restaurants. There's sort of a lot of pluses. Taking the restrooms out of the restaurant and putting them in another location. And as you can see, that's $560 and $560,000 and $292. Anyway, it's in that area. It's a bit expensive. For scheme 3, which we feel is a positive one, is that there you get better circulation. There's a great deal of flexibility that you're able to achieve. You gain the valuable space and seating. And I'm really excited about the ice cream shop. I just think it's a great place to really put some creative ideas into. Of course, it's additional site work. It's going to be time consuming. We're going to go through the approval process to be extended construction. But in my opinion, this is a wonderful thing to do to that area, is to open some of the spaces and make them more usable. And as you can see, that's $530,462. But this is for the district to decide what they want to do. Let's go on to the next slide. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Xiao. Xiao?
Yes, thank you, Sally. My name is Xiao Chen, so I'll be the project manager and your day-to-day contact for the duration of the ADA restroom project. So next slide, please. So let's talk about project management. So to ensure the project remains on track and deliver a successful project, the following management approach will be implemented. We're going to do administrative tasks to include monthly status meeting, provide progress report, and update project schedule as needed. And we're going to also monitor and design within budget to include all the estimation, as Sally shared on previous slide, that all possible costs associated with project initially, and monitor those projects closely to ensure all completed according to plan. And we also will have quality control process in place. It will start from the onset of the building and occurs on all submittal. And in addition, we will engage the district and public to ensure their successful participation by identifying their responsibility of all team members. And of course, SSA will lead the design process. Next slide, please. So let's look at the preliminary project schedule. And we anticipate to complete this project within 13-month time frame from start to occupancy. And throughout the project, we will continuously review work and adherence to the program and keep the project on time. If the project gets off track, first thing, our management team will identify such costs promptly and reevaluate tasks remaining to be done and revise original schedule to allow all work remaining to be completed by the required end date. And last but not least, we will continue to monitor and control performance for the remainder of the project. So next slide, please. So now I would like to introduce my colleague, Kathleen Wong, project architect of the project, to share with you the project design phases. Thank you, Kathleen.
You're mute.
Kathleen, you're mute.
Hi, sorry about that. I'm Kathleen, and I've been working with Sally for a long time as an architect, and I will be the project architect for this project, working with a team of consultants as well as our own in-house staff. Next. Okay. So today we presented 3 conceptual schemes for the public and the district's review. And when the district chosen the scheme, we will further develop the spaces that is in the design. We will review the layout in more detail. We will look at the existing relationship with the existing elements and develop interior elevation, ceiling plans, floor plan. And we will be working with the client and the consultant team. And at the end of this phase, we will send a set of drawing for the client's review. And upon approval, we will go into the next phase, which is design development. And in the design development, we will work with our team of consultants, which we have mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, structural engineer, and possibly a civil engineer to develop each building system that is in the project. We will do a preliminary review with the review agency having jurisdiction over the project to get their read on what is required. And we will work with manufacturer to see what is the best product for this project. And then we will further refine the design. And then at the end of the project, we will issue a set of design development drawings and outline spec for the district's review and approval. And upon approval, we will move on to the construction document phase, in which we will work with our team of consultants again, and the agency if needed, review agency if needed, and definitely with the manufacturer to further develop details of all the components of this project and the specification. And at the end of this phase, we will have a set of documents for the agency, for the client's review. And then we will submit the set of drawing to the review agency for formal review and approval. Once the project is approved, we will package the drawings for bid. And then during the bid process, we will assist the district in answering any questions that the bidders may have, and then issue any addendums as needed. And then we'll help the district open bid if needed. And then after the bid is awarded, then we will move on to construction. During this phase, we will work with the district in administrating the construction administration. We will answer any RFIs, review submittals, and help the district review also any change orders. We will attend meetings and site visits as the project goes along. And then at the end of the project, we will do a punch list walk where we will review if the contractor has completed everything on the project according to the drawings and spec. And then we will move on to the closeout phase, in which we will review the contractors' as-built drawings and any warranties or manuals that they have for this project. And so that will conclude the design phases for this project. Next.
One of the most important things is community involvement. And I truly hope that everybody participating today will speak up and share their concerns. We want to hear how you feel about the 3 different schemes. We want you to feel what you feel about the area. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. But we want you to participate. This is a crucial part of our process. So don't be shy. I guess you raise your hand or chat, we'll figure it out, but put your ideas forward. As I said, there are 3 schemes. The first one is putting restrooms inside Catch Joanne, which makes it a smaller space. The second is putting restrooms in the ice cream parlor, which I feel works well, but it really makes the ice cream parlor a small space. And much to my surprise, our cost estimator felt that this was an expensive scheme. And all along, we've been told about putting the restrooms outside, but once again, it would be connected, it'd be private. It would not be a public space. We found that this was an easy thing to build, and it was a good cost. We could get some great restrooms there and serve the restaurant as well as the ice cream parlor, and also increase the number of individuals that can participate, not only eating, but at the bar as well. So can we have the next slide? So I hope you have some questions and answers. We want you to participate. It's a very important space. I think it's really enjoyed by the public substantially. So how will we, Lizzie, find out if anybody has any questions or have any responses?
Everybody will be able to raise their hands, and we'll call upon everybody as they raise their hands. We'll get to everybody. I see one hand's already raised. Again, let me just thank Sally Swanson Architects for explaining the 3 alternatives that you've come up with thus far, and the entire process that you'll be going through to assist the district through fruition of the project itself. Again, the whole purpose here of this project is to get large ADA compliant new restrooms that can service Catch Joanne's restaurant, where the 2 tiny aged restrooms, that were kind of grandfathered, have just outlived their use, while still trying our best to maintain as much seating in the very busy restaurant as is possible. In addition, as Sally and her team made clear, we also hope to be able to continue keeping the adjacent ice cream shop as a large usable space for retail use. It could morph into a different use than an ice cream shop in the future. Obviously, if we make it just a 50% restroom building, that'll definitely limit its options for the future. The outside restroom ended up not being as expensive as we initially might have thought. And also, in the event that we later decide that significant renovations need to be done to the entire retail center 10 years from now, even, the new restroom, if it was built outside, could be incorporated into any new design of a retail space. So with that, let's just open up to questions now. I think Bob and Shirley Ingalls had a question first.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Thank you very much. This is Sherry. Bob's off to the side here. I tried to get through early on in the process because Kathleen, easy to understand you on the computer. I don't know if other people had the problem, but Sally, unfortunately, your mic was really garbled. So I got very little of what you were talking about.
Okay, we can go back to the options and any questions that you might have, Sherry.
Okay,
Bob.
well, yeah, the question I have on the schematic of the drawing, if you can go back to that, it had the option 1, option 2.
Yes, 3. The 3 options.
Right. So existing floor plan, we see where the bathrooms are at. Existing floor plan was 55 seats. If it's moved to this scheme number 1, it goes to 48 seats. Is that what I'm seeing there?
Yes,
Okay, so you're losing,
And I would say, let me just add to that, that's a kind of a fluid number, Sherry, because of some litigation that occurred. Regretfully, we are going to have to, our tenant, Catch Joanne, they are going to have to also add some seating that they've not done yet for ADA.
right?
So, that new seating of 48 might even have to be reduced further.
Okay, and then scheme number 2, which goes into the ice cream shop, you're actually replacing an ADA compliant bathroom already, is that correct? Because right now, isn't the existing bathroom in the ice cream shop ADA compliant?
no, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay, well, I know that when it was Huck Finn, they remodeled it just a few years. And at that time, it was supposed to be ADA compliant. What is it that would need to make that one ADA compliant?
Alice, you looked at it. Do you have any information? You may,
Well, one, we need 2 restrooms.
You're right,
So-
but that's for Catch Joanne, not for the ice cream shop. For the ice cream shop, can you have one unisex bathroom?
well,
Right.
this would be
We're
for
not,
Catch Joanne. I mean, in other words, you come out in the hallway, you come around and use the restrooms.
Right, what I'm trying to say
Your
is
budget.
you're putting restrooms now for the bar and the restaurant into a third or a separate lease. So now you're making it where that has to be an all-in-one package if you use scheme number 2, because if you don't do that, now you don't have bathrooms for the restaurant and bar, or you don't have bathroom for the ice cream shop.
yeah, Sherry, let me jump in and just say that if we were to go with scheme number 2, we would be incorporating the ice cream shop into one lease with Catch Joanne, and it would just be one lease.
Right, so that would kind of make it where it's one large property instead of the possibility or 2 or 3 properties, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely a downside to this option.
Okay, and then scheme number 3, I think the seating was approximately 67 people. Is that correct?
3, okay.
63.
63, okay.
Right.
And how is that? I'm trying to see how that is. I got Jackie Spear calling here. I gotta get rid of that. The retaining wall, it's being built out. What does that do as far as ADA access from the back of the shop area to the bathrooms? Because I don't know if there's a whole bunch that would need to be done in addition to the bathrooms itself, the access to those bathrooms. I'm not sure
You
exactly.
want to answer that, please, Joe?
What's that?
Yep, that's a good question.
Okay. Yeah, because you've got people are going to have to access those bathrooms, and how do they do that? Especially that back area right now, to get from the upper parking lot to the lower parking lot is nothing but stairs that are obviously not ADA compliant. And
Yes,
there's
Sherry,
Yeah.
Sherry, I understand your question. And let me just break in and say that we've discussed those challenges. That's why, as Sally said, these 2 restrooms would be for the use of the Catch Joanne restaurant and the ice cream shop, but could also be accessed by people that were walking along the corridor behind Catch Joanne, but are not intended to be used by people that are just by the public that are parking in the upper parking lot.
Yeah, that, if we did that, that would be an enormous renovation. We'd have to create an accessible entrance to the restrooms. And we looked at ramps, and stairs, we looked at an elevator solution. And what in the end, we felt that the front of the restroom is very accessible. And that individuals that come into the restroom should easily into the restaurant should easily get into the restroom. And that restroom is really just for Catch Joanne and for the ice cream shop. We don't want the public coming in there. It's not a public restroom. If it was public, it'd be a totally different story, but it's just for the restaurant and for the ice cream shop.
So
Yeah,
I
there
would,
in
I was
this,
gonna
in this plan, the entrance from Catch Joanne and from the ice cream shop would, of course, into the little foyer in front of or adjacent to the restrooms would all be ADA accessible.
right, because it would require some modification to the egress and entrance for people to go in and out of the back of there to the restroom area.
Yes, yeah.
The areas that are the red areas, the new doors, number 31, those are the new doors.
Yes.
Yeah, but they've measured, Sherry, and determined that there is adequate ADA travel, from the, all the way, from the front entrances of the restaurant all the way back into the restroom.
Okay,
Well, once again, this is just for Catch Joanne and the ice cream shop. This is not public restrooms. We did show the door exiting for exits, but we don't want the public in there. That would not be the case.
so is this more or less closing off that, where those blue lines are, or is that where so it's a wall? So there's
Yes.
gonna be no sidewalk back in there
Yeah,
anymore. It'll be an enclosed area behind the ice cream shop.
yes, it would be.
Okay, all right, because one of the issues that we have behind those shops are people love to get seasick, let's say, and also find spots that they don't have to go inside of a place. If they can find a place to hide, or at least kind of turn their back so that they can relieve themselves, they do in that back area. So that's something too to keep in mind, that we need to make as few spaces as possible where they have the ability to do that. Unfortunately, one of those things just to think about for that back area, because it's pretty bad at times.
What do you suggest then? What should happen there? A bunch of rocks on each street, make it a very uncomfortable space? What would you suggest?
Make it where at least it's as visible as possible. I'm not sure that area of right below E, where the stairs are to the right of E stairs, how much of an area that is kind of protected, almost seems like. I believe there was a door going in there, which means you are adding the retaining wall above it. So that's a nice little area where people can hide. And at 10 o'clock at night, when they've had a little too much to drink and they don't have the way to get in that door, they're going to take care of whatever they need to do right then and there. So just something to keep in mind, and trying to keep areas like that as clear as possible, or as visible as possible, to discourage people from doing things they shouldn't be doing.
So what you're saying, which I find very interesting, is we should have a wall by the stairs, so there's no place where they can hide or whatever. In other words, we should close that area off, and they could use it for storage in the, in the restaurant. Right where the wall is, right there, right in here, we could just make that a wall, so nobody can really hide in there.
Okay, all right, well, that would be, just like I said, it's
Better.
something to keep in mind, because being the area that it is, like I said, unfortunately, it's a major reality. And I know, because I have to go back there and deal with some unpleasant things quite often back in that back area. So we want to make sure we discourage any activity like that as much as possible.
Thank you. That was very good observation.
All right, well, thank you. I think I'm done. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Sherry.
It looks like we have Michelle with a hand raised in the waiting room. Michelle, you've been asked to unmute for comment.
Hi, I was wondering, there's not really a reasonable bathroom in the upper parking lot. How about a porta potty up there? That would solve some of the, I mean, people will walk to a porta potty rather than embarrass themselves in public. Just a thought.
What do you think, John?
Yes, Michelle, that's a real good point. You know, we do, especially when it's real busy, you know, we do fill up that parking lot as well. And at present, people have to walk over to Johnson Pier Road and then down to Johnson Pier across from the harbor office to use that public restroom. We
Right.
have placed, as you're aware, portable toilets, additional portable toilets due to COVID at present. And we could look at, you know, in a future project, putting an additional restroom up in that upper parking lot. But for the scope of this project, we are focusing right now, Michelle, on dealing with the challenges at Catch Joanne. You know, the very small restrooms within Catch Joanne have been deemed insufficient because they are not ADA compliant. So we are having to move relatively quickly in order to keep the restaurant open and viable by creating 2 new ADA restrooms that are you know, sufficient for the seating capacity of the restaurant. And by putting it in this design scheme 3 outside, we are also then able to incorporate ADA restrooms for the ice cream shop as well, and keep all of the additional seating that we're going to get inside Catch Joanne. And we all know and love Catch Joanne restaurant, and we know how busy it gets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Are there any other questions? We'd love to hear from you. Is Albert and Heidi here? Maybe next time?
I don't see anyone by that name in the waiting room or in the
Okay.
participant list.
All righty. Well, Lizzie, who else do we have? Does anybody have any other questions?
I don't see any hand raised. As a reminder, at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to click on participants next to it, and it should say raise hand.
Yes. Okay. All righty. Well, we thank you for taking the time. I gather we'll be going to your board to have their input and their insights. I do love the idea of not creating a hiding space and making it more accessible. And as you said, if this was done in a great format, you still could renovate your building later on in the years. So it would be part of a great construction. John,
Yeah,
would you like to chime
that's
this in?
accurate, Sally. We'll be bringing very shortly, maybe as soon as next month, at the February 17th meeting, if not in the March meeting, be bringing to our board, you know, and give another opportunity for the public to provide input as well, and hopefully be able to narrow down and get direction from our board at which design alternative to pursue.
All righty. Well, let's do it sooner than later. That would be great. Thank you, John. And thank you, everybody, for participating. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for everybody that attended, and you can always email me if you think of questions or ideas. You can always email me at jmoren@smharbor.com. jmoren, M-O-R-E-N, @smharbor.com. Or you can find my email address on the website as well.
Thank you.
Thank you again. If nothing further, thank you, Sally Swanson Architects team. And thank you for everybody, the members of the public that attended tonight. We appreciate the community input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.